The defense took some verbal punishment on Twitter after A-Day, but did they deserve that much? Was it as bad as we think? I don't know. Let's talk about it.
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back into Locked On Bama. Luke Robinson, that's me. Jimmy Stein, that's him. This episode is brought to you by LinkedIn, and thank you for making this your first listen every single day. Yes, I got a little thing on my finger. This is how old I am. I hurt my finger washing my wife's car, and I'm scared it's going to give me like this mallet finger thing that I already have on this finger, so I'm trying to stop it so I don't have two mallet fingers, whatever the hell those are. Jimmy, so – the defense.
That's a lot to unpack.
That's a lot to unpack to start. My fingers are going in the transfer portal. The defense took some, they took some verbal punishment on Twitter specifically. And really from me, essentially, at the beginning, because when it was 31-0, I was like, I don't know that I like this new setup. And I'm really worried about the defense. But, we should be a little happier about some things. I mean, look, I'm just going to throw some things off the top of my head. I'm not looking at anything. Justin Okonoro is a heat-seeking missile. Now, that missile may be one of those Scud missiles that sometimes just goes off into the universe. We're not sure where it ends up. But I was really, really happy with his performance. I'm not saying he's going to be a starter or anything like that. I'm just saying for a dude who is playing ball in a foreign country low these many years, pretty good. Drake Kirkpatrick Jr. gets a pick. Who else happened? Tell me something else that started you. Yanzi Pierre, I felt like I saw him a lot. Maybe it was because just that's who the cameras were catching like after the play was over. But it felt like I saw Pierre's name a lot on the screen. I know Deontay Lawson had a nice tackle one time that he broke up a pass, I think, intended for Jam Miller, I think it was. So, I mean, look, James Smith had a nice tackle for loss. Again, I think it was against a walk-on, and it was kind of late. It wasn't like he didn't do it against Justice Haynes or anything. But I thought there were some positive moments for the defense out there. I'm not ready to say, oh, my God, we are a lost cause on D just yet.
There's a lot of positive moments, but I think the first thing, you have to take into account is that the defense played under rules they won't play under this fall. We don't even know what those rules are. We just know that the defense, for instance, didn't blitz. There weren't full house blitzes. There weren't, nickel corner blitzes. There weren't anything fancy at all. I'm just ballpark guessing here, but if the defense runs about 14 different coverages, I think they used about 2 on Saturday, maybe 3. I mean, it was a simplified, we're showing nothing type defense and the offense took advantage of that. The offense wasn't complicated either. I'm just saying that I think the defense wasn't dealing from its normal full deck. It wasn't the 52 deck of cards. It was more like a 20 deck of cards. That's I think explains some of their struggles, especially early. But I don't think you watch A-Day, in my mind, Luke. I don't watch A-Day to evaluate the defense or the offense because we're not seeing the defense and the offense. But you can evaluate individuals that are on the field for their overall athleticism, physicality, speed, burst. And I was impressed with a handful of young defenders. I'm glad you mentioned Drake Kirkpatrick's interception. It was called back and didn't count, but we all saw it happen regardless. And I think it was called back on an offsides thing that really didn't have anything to do with the play. But Dre is one of my favorites in the class. I think I'm always a fan of the late bloomer. I think it's so interesting that you have a kid with the name Dre Kirkpatrick. Let's be totally honest. That sounds like a kid that's going to be overrated. And by that, I mean, any kid, any son who has the same name as his dad, who was a highly rated NFL player, draws eyeballs in high school, draws eyeballs, draws ratings, draws rankings, draws offers. I mean, and sometimes those kids don't live up to it. But here's a kid who didn't get overranked as a high school player because of his dad's name. And secondly, I've said this before, I'm just being totally honest. When I saw Dre as a young player, and I couldn't wait to watch his tape, and I watched his tape, and I don't bat 1,000 at this by any means, but I'm okay at it. And I watched his tape as a young player, and I'm like, UAB, I think UAB is as far as that kid can go. And then I hear from sources up near Gadsden, boy, Dre has really come along late. I heard he grew, got a little faster, got a little bigger, went to Alabama's camp, and was an immediate offer from Nick Saban. And I'm like, I can't wait to see the senior tape. I bet I'm going to see a different kid. Watched a senior tape, and this is just me talking, national top 100 player. National top 100 player, in my opinion, in terms of his senior year tape. And then what did he do? Didn't he just show out at that Alabama-Mississippi High School All-Star game against premium competition? Then he comes to Alabama, has this the only interception on A-Day, even though it was called back. I'm just saying, Dre is a late bloomer, which doesn't often happen with the son of an NFL player, and underranked, which doesn't often happen with the son of an NFL player. So for all those reasons, I'm fired up about Dre. I don't think we're going to see Dre as a significant player on this team this fall, but I expect Dre to be a significant player at Alabama in his career.
You know, it's funny. I think the one thing you can't teach is what he has and the instincts. He doing the high school scoreboard show through most of the year, I remember that every time we talked about Dre Kirkpatrick playing, he always seemed to have like a big pick to end the game or to seal the game or to give his team a chance to win, whatever. I know in the Alabama-Mississippi All-Star game, he had a pick, if I remember right. He broke up some other passes. He might have had
more than one. I think he had maybe a pick and a fumble recovery or a fumble.
That's what it was, pick and a fumble recovery.
Yeah.
He just has a, that nose for the ball and the instinctual stuff. Yeah, you can practice a lot and learn, but and learn, about the game and where people are going to be and study film and all that. But there's something to be said for instincts that is intangible, that can't be coached, that frankly, I love that part of the game, the mysterious part of the game that we can't explain. I love things. I've said this before. I don't always want to know how all the sausage is made. I like thinking there is otherworldly aspect to this sometimes, and meaning, we can continue to study the brain and figure out, well, he has instincts because his medulla oblongata is attached to his retina. I only just said two words I know that have nothing to do with each other, that are medical related. But what I'm saying is, I like the fact that there's an X-Files aspect to this of, I don't know how he does it. He just keeps doing it.
Yeah. Andrew Jones, a longtime Brave, he was a Brave center fielder. He's probably the best defensive outfielder I've ever seen in my life, and I think should be in the Hall of Fame on defense alone. Another subject. But Andrew Jones was asked about, how are you so good at this? And he said, that's what he said this years ago. He said he has the ability when the ball's hit by the bat, he knows where the ball's going to land. Like right when it comes off the bat, he knows where it's going to land. So he runs to that spot. And I'm like, how? But just like what Luke said, he's born with some innate thing that us normies just don't have. We don't have that. And that's what these kids that are super instinctive have. And you definitely can see that with Dre Jr.
I always tell people to go read the book Blink by Malcolm Gladwell, because it talks about how there was a museum curator that, this one museum was so excited to bring this statue in. They were like, "Oh, we love it. What do you think?" And as soon as they unveiled it, she goes, "I hope you didn't pay a lot for it. That's a fake." And they were like, "What are you talking about? You hadn't even really looked at it or touched it or done anything." She goes, "I don't know how to tell you that it's a fake. I just know it's a fake." And it was like immediate. And it's sort of like what was that the senator or the congressman or the somebody, I can't remember who it was, when somebody asked him to describe, what is pornography? And he said, "I know it when I see it. I don't know what to tell you." And sort of like the thing with Andrew Jones and Dre Kirkpatrick Jr., when you have the instincts like that, you are kind of born with it. And, you don't really know why. And maybe it makes sense that maybe he was just around football all his life and it was an osmosis thing, potentially. But there's also maybe something that we can't ever explain that we need Mulder and Scully to get involved with. But right now.
How can you tell it's a fake, ma'am? The statue of David does not wear Groucho Marx glasses.
Yeah. David wasn't that well endowed, y'all. y'all really gave David too much credit here. Okay. When you're looking to hire for your small business, you want to find quality candidates and quality professionals that are right for the role. That's where you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just another job board. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job, but might be open to the perfect role if you have it for them. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. You know why? They don't need to. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. Hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. Man, I love that new little catchphrase they got. Look, post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. Post your job for free. Terms and conditions, yeah, they'll apply. All right, so I brought up Justin Okonoro. That's how we're going with the pronunciation. I think it's correct.
You speak excellent German.
I do. My German is on point.
You got both. You got Justin and Okonoro.
I know Schadenfreude, which means you take pleasure in the in the failure of others, or
has something to do with Auburn.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I'm really enjoying. I don't even like baseball. And I'm enjoying the fact that their baseball team is not good. Now that I've said that, I've jinxed them and they'll go on a run and they will make the tournament and we won't. But congrats to our baseball team for winning 2 out of 3 against Arkansas. And congrats to Kentucky, who also swept us. I have no problem saying it. They swept us. They also went to Auburn and swept Auburn. And if Auburn doesn't do something very quickly, they're not going to make it to Hoover, which, again, Schadenfreude for me. N'est-ce pas? I think that's German and French. Whatever. So Justin Okonoro, we touched on him a minute yesterday, but I mean, don't you think that was right? Like he was all over the place. He looked like one of the better athletes on the field. And maybe this is another instinctual type thing that, again, there's something to be said for if you bring in a guy like him, just an absolute unit of a human being, and the coaches can mold him in their eyes, mold him to be what they want him to be, versus he hadn't had a ton of coaching. I mean, I'm not trying to crap on any of his German position coaches, but my guess is that he hadn't had a ton of great coaching to this point. Again, if one of his former coaches is listening in Germany, I apologize in advance. I'm just going off of what common sense tells me. So he can come in and just go, Coach, I don't know much. I know I'm typically the fastest person on the field and the strongest person on the field, and I know to go get the guy with the football. What do you want me to do? And instead of falling back on bad habits, maybe he can create all his own new good habits.
Yeah, I think too many people make too big a deal of his lack of playing experience in American football by not playing high school football. I think people I'm not saying it's not a deal. I'm just saying people make too big a deal of it because football is complex, but it's also doesn't take. It's not like landing, landing on the moon. I mean, you can learn to play football on the grease board and on the field, and it's not something that's going to take 6 years of higher learning at an Ivy League school to figure it out. I mean, people make too much of it. I do think that a lot of athletes, guys that are naturally athletic, some of them are just very good at the things that football requires of them. And I think Okonoro showed on Saturday, hey, look, just stick him out there. He'll be fine. He didn't look lost to me. He didn't look like he didn't know what he was doing to me. In fact, Luke, if you think about it, Okay, so the starting ones are supposed to be at inside linebacker, Jihad and Deontay. We know that they're probably the best inside linebacker duo in the whole country, to be honest. So Jihad's out. He's hurt. Just a minor thing. He'll be fine for fall camp. So they bump up the senior Justin Jefferson, and he starts next to Deontay. Well, by bumping up Justin Jefferson, now the twos are Jeremiah Alexander, who I thought, by the way, looked pretty good Saturday also, alongside one of the true freshmen. That was going to be either Okoronkwo, Sterling Dixon, or Caden Jones. Who was out there? Okoronkwo. I'm not saying he's beaten out Sterling Dixon or he's beaten out Caden Jones, but he was the one out there on Saturday. And Sterling Dixon's a 4-year starter in American high school football. Caden Jones was an award-winning, highly recruited dude from North Carolina. So Okoronkwo quickly showed he's at least as good as they are, if not more so, by playing ahead of them on Saturday. So if he can pick up on that and start, quote, beating those guys out inside of 15 practices, again, too much is made of, well, he hasn't been here. I think he's on track to be a good player. I don't want to overreact to what I saw on Saturday, but I think in 2025, 1 year from now, this is a potential starter.
And I think you inadvertently had an even better analogy about landing on the moon, because in a way, like, anybody can land on the moon is safely landing on the moon. I think that Okoronkwo, what you do is you put him in space and go, there the moon is. And now listen, if you follow my instructions, we will land on the moon and everything will be fine. But if we don't, you'll still get there, but everybody will be dead. So I think that's maybe how they're saying it. Like, we know you can get to the moon, get on the moon. We want to make sure all of our equipment works when we get there, because ironically, I think that Kalen DeBoer, while he loves having him on this team in the sense that, this is a guy he can mold in his own image. How much do you think Kalen DeBoer, as an offensive genius, would have loved playing against a Justin Okoronkwo, who right now probably is sort of see ball, get ball, and he could have had him on skates. So I'm super excited about being able to mold him the way we want and being able to use that athleticism. Again, let's not beat around the bush. Jimmy and I are not saying this guy's going to be all SEC this year, next year, the year after. We're saying that there is a lot of potential here. And if you can't see it, you just aren't looking. Yes, there's a lot of things you can talk about, German background, not playing in the States, blah, blah, blah. But we're positive here at Locked On Bama forever.
I think it's a serious, Deontay is going to move on to the NFL. Jihad Campbell, we'll see true juniors draft eligible. The NFL is going to love his size, speed, ranginess, athleticism, aggressiveness, physicality. So it's very possible that Deontay and Jihad are moving on. Justin Jefferson's a senior. He can't come back. So if you're just going by the pure depth chart of what we saw this past Saturday, the next two up for 2025 today would be Jeremiah Alexander and Okoronkwo. So is he going to be good enough? I think so.
Sorry, I went a little early with I was so excited to get to FanDuel.
You're a man.
I'm so excited to get to FanDuel. FanDuel.com/locked-on. I love FanDuel. You love FanDuel. We all love FanDuel. It's playoff time in the NBA and NHL, and baseball's in full swing, pun intended. And FanDuel is your place to bet on every single game. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets. That's guaranteed, by the way. That's $150, win or lose. Bet on everything from slap shots to home runs to slam dunks, all on an app that's safe, secure, and easy to use. What are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com/locked-on and make your first bet an automatic win. FanDuel is America's number one sportsbook. Okay, we touched on this yesterday too, because we cut the podcast about an hour, 2 hours before this guy made his commitment. But Alabama did get another commitment yesterday, and it was, another linebacker.
Man, another linebacker. But boy, I'm excited about, you can line up all of them in the rankings. There's, I think, now 4 or 5 even in this class, off-ball inside linebackers. And we just talked about the same position, how many guys Alabama's losing. You could lose Deontay, you could lose Jihad, you're going to lose Justin Jefferson. So you've got to bring in 3 guys, and then you got to worry about further attrition at the position. So to me, bringing in 4 is absolutely the plan. And now you got Duke Johnson, Jaden Harmon after yesterday, right? You got Luke Metz, who's coming, Abdullah Sanders, that's 4, and of course Miles Johnson from Bruton. So 5 guys now. That is a lot, but Jaden Harmon is just personally my second favorite of the group. If I was lineman 5, I mean, to me, Duke Johnson's number 1, but I would put Jaden Harmon, who committed yesterday, number 2. Great tape. Another guy who's going to be a riser up the rankings. I'm very confident in that he will be a guy that rises per all the services. I think Jaden Harmon is a disruptive. What I like most about Harmon's game, Luke, is it takes 2 snaps. If you go to his huddle, the first 2 snaps are enough to convince anyone that he's big time, because on the first snap, he's making a play downhill, gets downhill, chases, makes a play in the backfield, strips the ball. Second play, drops into coverage, makes an interception like he's a DB. I mean, he looks like a defensive end pass rusher on one play, looks like a safety on the second play. I mean, that's just the ideal modern linebacker from Rome, Georgia. I had a linebacker in the past from Rome, Georgia. Can you name it? But a little bit before your time. I'm not sure if you remember him.
Before my time, you're only like 2 years older than me.
Late 80s. Late 80s.
Rome, Georgia.
Late 80s.
No. Was it Steve Webb?
Close. He's from Tuscaloosa.
Oh, okay.
Same team. Same team.
Oh, he was from Tuscaloosa?
No, Steve Webb was from Tuscaloosa.
Oh, Steve Webb was from Tuscaloosa. Okay.
Number 44.
Give me a minute. Not Daryl Blackburn. He was from Alabama too. 44. Give me. When you say it, I'm gonna be mad. Go ahead.
Probably the 44 right before Daryl Blackburn. Spencer Hammond. Jimmy, I knew it like it was yesterday. But anyway, so we've had a linebacker from Rome, Georgia before. It was a while back. But anyway, excited about Jaden Harmon. I think along with Duke Johnson, another Georgia guy, I think they're the 2 best, to say nothing about.
Did he change numbers, by the way, Spencer
Hammond? He might have.
Yeah, okay.
I don't remember specifically. I remember him as being 44, but he was a linebacker on the team when I first got to Alabama. So he's a year or 2 older than me, which is, it's not easy to do, biologically and still be alive. So I hope he's still with us.
I mean, I thought we were going to be positive about all this. All right. So transfer portal talk, Jimmy, anything to know?
Yeah. Like I told Luke right before we went on the air, I mean, the portal is going to be full of surprises. And the first surprise to me is the lack of portal news. And I know that we're cutting this on Monday morning and the portal doesn't open until Tuesday, but I expect it today to be full of reports from people that say so-and-so is expected to enter the portal. So-and-so is expected to enter portal. All these kids, by the way, have agents, and these agents leak things on purpose. They want to beat the portal because the sooner you get into the portal, the sooner the recruiting sort of, you can kickstart the recruiting process by announcing, we're not in the portal yet, but we're going to be. And I was expecting a whole lot of that today. And so far, the first portal surprise is quiet. But to me, I'm not going to use the word quiet. I think the more appropriate term is ominous.
I'm going to tell you what it makes me think about. Did you ever see the movie Aliens, like the second one?
Sigourney Weaver?
Yeah, Sigourney Weaver's in. I think she's in all of them. I don't know if she's not. I mean, except for the new ones. But
I kind of remember the first one, and
the second one,
there were sequels, but they all kind of run together to me.
And it's not. It was Bill Paxton, not Bill Pullman. Bill Paxton, I think, was in that one, and he was like the crazy guy. He was always like upset. He was always like, "Game over, man. We got no chance. Game over."
Yeah, that guy. That's him.
Yeah. And anyway, there's a scene in there where they have these little radar things that you can tell if something is moving near you. So that's how they were keeping up with aliens. And they were like, it's saying they're right here. It's saying they're in the room with us. They're on top of us. Well, how is it that they're here? And then they figured out they're in the ducts, air ducts above them. And so that was pretty scary. But that's what this feels like. Like there's nobody in the transfer portal, but it feels like everybody's in the transfer portal. And tomorrow we're going to look up and they're all in the air ducts.
They're in the ducts.
Yeah. Everybody's in the air ducts of the transfer.
That's good. That's a heck of a lot better than our statue stuff earlier. That's a good one.
I don't know. A well-endowed David sounds like a pretty funny statue. I don't know why nobody's done that yet.
The moon stuff wasn't good. The moon stuff wasn't good. The statue wasn't good. The air ducts is fantastic. We're going to start the show with air ducts tomorrow.
Oh man, that is such a good. And South Park did a great take on the little kid's name, just the worst little actress. I hope she never got another job. I usually don't wish ill will on people I don't know, but acting was not her thing, right? Her name was Newt in the movie, and she was so bad. And she always talked about how,
And South Park,
the aliens mostly come at night, mostly. And I was like, just don't even quit reading lines. Just, I wish your name is.
was this on South Park or Aliens?
That was both of them. South Park, then Eric Cartman would always go, "The mostly come at night, mostly." That's my Eric Cartman voice.
That's pretty good. That's again, we're hitting home runs here at the end. That was nice.
I'm not fat, I'm
impressed.
big boned.
First one was better. Than
Cartman's still pretty great. Anyway, all right. That's going to do it for today's podcast. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We appreciate you guys so much. We'll be back tomorrow. And I bet you there'll be some transfer portal news tomorrow, one way or the other. We're all sitting with bated breath, just like you are.
We're just watching the air ducts closely. Petrified.
All right. We will talk tomorrow. Until then, roll tide, everybody.
Roll tide.